Forgot to plug that in. There we go. Now you can hear me. Morning. How's everyone doing? All right. So today, Wednesday, September 8th, hump day. Tomorrow, Jerome Powell. Sort of choppy yesterday. We got some decent up and down, some decent price action early morning, and then the rest of the day was just a chop fest. So yesterday was definitely one of those days. Trade in the morning, go out and enjoy the rest of your day. Go do something else the rest of the day. So nice downside early morning yesterday. Then we had that upside bounce off the weekly lows, and then rest of the day was just pretty much nothing. So one of those days yesterday, and with us approaching Jerome Powell tomorrow, I would expect, at least you want to expect some of the same, right? You don't want to get too aggressive, especially the day before Jerome Powell speaks. We typically do see some type of slowdown, some type of chop. That could definitely be what we see today. So we have to keep that in mind, right? So some nice levels to watch for today. Some nice levels yesterday for sure. And let's go ahead and just prepare for our day. Focus on the futures levels. They were everything yesterday. We called it out perfectly yesterday here on the pre-market live stream, that 12,060 level on the ES. And then was that 1260 yesterday? Early morning? No, it was the 12,250 level early morning yesterday in the pre-market. And then that 3,000... and then that 3960 level on the ES. So those two levels rejected early morning yesterday, and then the rest of the day we had some new levels be built on the intraday, which we can talk about in today's live stream. So as always, let's look at the levels. Let's prepare for our day on the future side of things first, because that is where it all stems from, and then we can look at some individual stocks. All right. So today is the 7th, futures economic earnings calendar. Nothing on the earnings side of things, but here is the economic calendar today. If we pull this up, we can see today, not much. Early morning, in about 27 minutes, we have international trade balance. I'm not sure that will affect us much. We have some Fed presidents speaking today, and then tomorrow is the big day, jobless claims, and then Fed Chair Jerome Powell speaks 20 minutes before open. So very interesting to see that. 20 minutes before open on Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Then we have nothing too crazy the rest of the day there. And then not much on Friday either. After this week, we get even more interesting, right? We have CPI on Tuesday of next week. So a lot of eyes on this one right here, guys. Jerome Powell speaking at 9:10, 20 minutes before open tomorrow. So that, just remember that, right? If you have a swing trade tomorrow, you're not going to be able to manage it before Fed Chair Jerome Powell speaks. So you have to understand that. That's a risk you take. If you are holding a position into tomorrow, you have to know that you can get affected by this, and you can't do anything about it if you have options. All right? So make sure you're aware of that. All right, so we have Tesla, 276 level, very big level here on Tesla. Nvidia, AMD, just extremely weak, continue to stay weak. Apple retest level for rejection possibly. Amazon 127 level is something I'm watching today. Costco we were talking about yesterday. It's holding that key level 515 I think it was. Snow almost to that gap fill. Pretty much there. Has a little bit of meat left on the bones we can watch for today. Roku is obviously the weak stock. Roku's always going to be weak in a weak market. It's just a crap stock, as we all know. And it's getting close to the 2022 lows. So this is an interesting level to watch. And then finally, PANW traded back to that 530 like we were talking about yesterday. And we have to see what happens here at 530. This could be a very interesting level to watch. After that, we will go into the charts that you guys want to look at if we have time remaining, which we usually do. All right, here's the NASDAQ. So let's just go to the hourly chart, because that's really where I want to look at this. I mean, look at this stair step to the downside, guys. Look at this, the systematic selling that we've seen. Just up, down, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, previous support into resistance every single time. I mean, it's happened for the last week and a half almost. So very systematic to the downside, pretty easy on the technical side of things. It's just making a whole lot of sense. So let's go to the 30-minute chart, and I will show you guys what I would be watching for today. So today, you are looking for, of course, you're going to be watching where we are rejecting right now. Where are we rejecting right now? That is the after hours lows, and I guess you can call it pre-market, but it's more the after hours lows of Friday of last week, right? You can see all these after hours lows right here, all this support that was built. If I zoom in here and I sort of zoom this up, you guys can see all this pre-market low that turned into a perfect rejection yesterday at 12,060 on the NASDAQ. So you can see we are pushing back into it this morning, and look at the rejection that we have already seen here early morning. I actually took a futures trade here off 1260 this morning and had a very nice win. I think it was about a $600 win. Of course, again, this is on paper trading. I don't trade futures with real money yet. I still paper trade them just to, keep get a feel for it, get used to it. It's definitely something I want to do eventually, but not ready to, put real money into it, especially with all the options trading that I do. It's a lot to focus on. To be trading futures and options, it's a lot of emotion, a lot of stress, so I sort of keep the stress away. So with futures, I like to just mess around. I like to trade off these key levels. So nice 12,060 level here on the NASDAQ. You can see we are rejecting it as we speak to the downside, and that is a very clean rejection so far. So that is our first level to be watching. If we go to the 5-minute chart, you guys can clearly see where we rejected yesterday. You guys can see in the middle of yesterday, we just could not get over this 12,060. You have support, 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 support. You have a rejection, a rejection, a rejection, and look at the perfect rejection that is coming in this morning. So it's very easy, guys. If you don't get over 12,060, there's absolutely no reason to look for upside. It's as easy as that. If you're not over 12,060, there is no reason to be looking for upside, because why would you? That's just a clear rejection point. And, I would want to see a move like this before I can even feel like there is bullish momentum in this market. Even if we get that move, we still have the rejection point from yesterday up above at 12,140, right? We still have that. And even if we get above that, we still have yesterday's highs up here around 12,250, which is where we rejected yesterday in the pre-market, and that's where we eventually moved to the downside. So this is by no means any type of bullish momentum. There's no reason to be getting aggressive on the upside. You just continue to stair step and stair step and stair step and stair step to the downside. Every single time you push back into a previous support, you've turned it into a rejection point. So the next support level that we are looking at today is right around this 11,970 to 12,000 level. I think it's around 11,970. That is your next that's your next support that came in, right? Support, 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 and you're trying to find support here today. If you do this and you do this, you guys know where your selling point is, right? Extremely easy, extremely systematic. If you break 11,970, if you come back into it and you turn it into a rejection, you sell it every single time, right? Very easy. It's what it's done for the last week. Previous lows into rejection, you sell off of it every time. Previous lows into rejection, sell off of it. Previous lows into rejection, sell off of it. All right? So very easy. Very systematic. You guys can see this selling is just straight to the downside, stair steps every time. Previous lows into rejection. Previous lows into rejection. Previous lows into rejection. So that's what I'd look for. I'd look for previous lows to turn into a resistance point. I would do it until it doesn't work, right? You just do it until it doesn't work. That's how you basically trade this. You continue to sell the resistance points until it doesn't work. You take your loss. If it changes, if the market switches up, then you change your trade idea. If you get this, you sell it. If you get this, you sell it. This, sell it. Do not buy this breakout. Now, if you do break out, let's say you try to sell it a fourth time and it breaks out, you take your loss. And then you look for the switch, right? Then you look for the switch if it happens, which I don't know if it will. All right, guys. So very, very nice, very easy levels today. 12,060 Anytime I see NASDAQ at 12,060, I'll be looking to play rejections. If I see NASDAQ down at 11,970, I'll see if support's there. If it's not, then I'll look to sell it off 11,970. And I'll look to do the exact same thing. All right? So very nice. ES, pretty much the same thing, guys. 39.20. I talked about this level in my video yesterday, and it's showing, I mean, you can just see the importance of it again. I mean, it's just right there. It's so easy, so solid. So where did we find rejections yesterday? We talked about it in the pre-market live stream. 39.60, previous lows into rejection points. Boom to boom, right? Previous lows, rejection. We've dropped. We tried to find support here around this 3,900. This is the last week's lows. You can see we're trying to hold it up right now. We're not really quite doing it. Where are we rejecting this morning? Previous lows, support, support, support. If I go down to the 5-minute chart, where could we not get above yesterday? 39.20, right? Rejection, rejection, rejection. Look at just the perfect rejections all right here this morning. All these rejections coming in at 39.20. Absolutely no reason to look for upside until you're over that. If you want to look for upside today, you need to see this. That's the only way you can trade upside here, in my opinion. Trading upside off this demand is extremely risky. You've seen that no demands have held, right? If you look at this hourly chart, guys, there is not a single time where a demand level has held up when you look at the hourly chart. So I would not be trying to trade bounces. I would not be trying to trade demand bounces if you see the market like this. If you see an uptrending market, then sure, right? Trade the demand bounces, right? I want to trade demand bounces if we're in an uptrend. I want to trade them all day. If I'm in a downtrend, the likelihood of a demand holding is low. And you can see that right now. This demand did not hold. This previous demand here did not hold. It broke through, right? This one right here broke through. You know, why would you want to trade it off this one? So that's what I would say for today. I would look for bounces in the 39.20. If you get a bounce into 39.20, I would look to sell it, and I would look to sell it and continue to sell it until it breaks through and you take your loss. Right? So right now, you're sitting around this 3,900 level, previous lows from last week. You have this little flag that's forming, I guess you could say here on the 5-minute. And if we continue to break through this level here, guys, I would watch out for yesterday's lows. Watch out for 39, what is this? 39.95. I would watch this low here, 38.90. I'm sorry, 38.95, 38.90, and then maybe even the futures lows, 38.80. So just watch some of these lows from yesterday. But overall, the key level here, rejection of 39.20. Thank you for your daily videos. I always watch your videos on my way to work. Hi from Los Angeles. What's going on, man? Thank you for the $5 donation. Am I still holding Apple calls? Absolutely not. No, I sold those the next day. All right. So thank you for the donation, man. Appreciate that. So that's ES. That's NASDAQ. Dow. What's the Dow up to? I haven't really looked at the Dow. I mean, it's the same stuff, right, guys? Just basically stair-stepping to the downside. We didn't quite get back to... Yeah, I guess we sort of did, actually. I guess you could say we did. This was a big level, this 31. This is where I think... Let me go ahead and break this down a little bit. Let's go to the 15-minute. Yeah, we did do that, actually. Look at that. So here on the 15-minute, guys, on the Dow, where did we reject this morning? 31,200. Boom. Perfect. Right? Right here. Previous support, into rejection. Look at this early morning rejection here at 31,200. So same thing on the Dow. Previous lows into rejection points. If you do move to the upside, I would first watch I'd probably just watch this pre-market high. I'm sorry, this intraday high right here around this 31,430. But to even look for upside, guys, you got to get over this, right? You got to get over this to look for upside. So 31,220, 31,200, that's your level to break for upside. To the downside, I would just watch these lows, 31,000, and just look for rejection plays off this 31,200. That's what I would look for. All right, that's the Dow. Russell's the same stuff. So Russell is rejecting right off this previous low in the general area. You guys can see right here, same exact thing, 1800 on the Russell. You tried to get above it yesterday, you rejected. You tried to get above it this morning, you rejected again. So I would watch 1800 as a rejection point, and then the lows here of 1780. Break the lows, continuation. If you get a bounce into 1800, look for those rejections. I would look for them all day. If it breaks above, if it holds 1800, turns it into support, then you flip your script. So that's similar to the ES, right? So if we're looking at the ES here, let's say things sort of flip up today. Let's say, market finds a bounce. If it breaks above these levels, right? Let's say we get a move above 39.20. What you want to look for is it to turn into support. Then you can start to see if we can turn it into support and continue our move to the upside. But you got to see that level turn into support, show signs that it's going to hold up before going long here. Unless if that doesn't happen, then you're just going to move up into it. You're going to show rejections, and you're going to most likely sell off again. So just watch the 39.20 on the ES. I think that's your key level today. 39.20 is everything, in my opinion. And then on the NASDAQ, it's 12,060. 12,060 is everything on your for the day. 12,060 and 39.20 are your major levels on the market. I do not have luxury watches. I have a 1,600 square foot house, and I don't really live like that. So I don't really my day in the life would be wake up, get on the live stream, trade, make some money, and play F1 on my F1 racing simulator, or playing Warzone, or going out to lunch with a friend, and then coming back home and looking at charts and maybe grabbing a drink at night with a friend. That's about it. So, yeah, you can see the life of a real trader, maybe. I have freedom, right? I have freedom. I like the freedom, but I do not have expensive, exotic cars, private jets, watches, blah, blah, blah. No, I just can't spend my money that way. All right, so that's the futures. Tesla. All right, so 276. No Lambo is right. No Lambo. So 276 on Tesla, guys. That's your big level. 276 today. Right here, guys. Nurlan. Is that how you pronounce it? Nurlan. Thank you, man. $9.99. Appreciate that. Hey, I play poker every now and then. With some friends. I am very humble. Yes, I do not like to talk about myself. That's something that I do not like in my life. My parents try to talk about me. My mom tries to brag about what I do to her friends, and I just hate it. So I'm one of those guys. I don't like being talked about. So no matter how good I do, I hate talking about money or materialistic things. All right, so Tesla. Anyways, 276. You guys can see right here. Rejections. This is all a huge level on Tesla. It just can't get through. So if you see Tesla up at 276 today, guys, I would look for rejections, right? 276. Look for that to turn into a rejection, right? Watch out for that. 276. Watch out for that 276. That's big. That is your rejection point. If you can't get above 276, then watch out for that continued weakness to the downside to 266, right? So 266 to 276, you're about a 10-point range here on Tesla. Again, Tesla's crap recently. I traded Tesla yesterday, and I actually got a really nice move on it. I got a actually sweet move on it. I'll actually show you. And I got like 10% of my contracts. It was a disaster. I sold them simply because I just couldn't take the patience that it required. Or I couldn't even fathom how the contracts weren't moving. Where was my trade on Tesla yesterday? I'm trying to remember, guys. I'm sorry if I don't. I think it was actually off this retest right here. I think it was off the 270 retest. I think I grabbed I think it was almost like $3 or $4 a share here. And the contracts were up like 10%. And I got out of them. I got out for like a $50 gain because I just couldn't fathom why the contracts did not move. So it's just unfortunate. It is unfortunate because at one time I really loved the trade Tesla. Contracts moved great. But right now it's just not the same. So you have these rejections at 276. Watch out for that. If you can't get above 276, I would expect Tesla to trade back to 266. You have a little bit of a channel here. If you do break 276, then maybe you get the 280 push, but I still don't like trading upside into 280 at all, right? 280 is like the big level. I don't like trading calls into 280 at all on Tesla, especially with the fake outs that it could potentially show you. Here's the 4 hour, right? You guys can see right here, support into 280. I don't like trading upside into 280. That looks pretty tough. So be careful at 280. Be careful at 276. I would continue to look for downside here off rejections. You can see the trend is clearly to the downside. So 276 rejection would be nice towards 266. I am 27 years old. Tesla. All right, let's go Nvidia. Nvidia is bad. Nvidia is really weak, guys. Just continuation of downside here, continuation of a bleed out over the last few days, right? A lot of people expected, including myself, expected to have some type of pretty significant bounce off that news. It was this day, I believe, that we had, what was the news again? Oh, the China news that they, obviously Nvidia can't sell to China, et cetera, et cetera. I was expecting there to be some significant bounce here after this day, but there has not been, guys. The sell-off has continued. The bleed out has continued. So very interesting to see that. So you can see downtrend is very strong. If we delete this downtrend, you guys can see we have these lows here around 134.50, and we have these lows around 136.50. This is starting to do that stair-step pattern. So looking at this, if you break this 134.50, I would look for downside into 133, right? These previous lows here. If you break this low, look for this potential support down here, 132.70, 133. If you find a bounce, right, where are we selling this? Where is the perfect put option entry? This push right here. I would love to get this right here as a put entry. This would be great, right? Why do I like this as a put entry? Because this is your previous support, right? And if we bounce into the 136.50, I would love to try to sell that, right? So I'm looking for a bounce here on Nvidia to sell into. Just looking to see if this continuation stays in. But you can see every bounce that we've had, bounce, sell into, right? Big bounce, sell into it. So if I can see another bounce here, I would love to sell into it. So looking for that bounce at the 136.50 level, and then I want to see how that reacts there. Okay? So that's going to be important. That's something I'm definitely watching today. But again, guys, remember, Nvidia, AMD are just, they are very, very weak. And we might not even see the bounce of 134. So watch. If we don't even get a bounce here, watch for your flush to 133. AMD is at a huge level here. Look at this level here over the last... let's go last 10 days. I mean, look at the downtrend. Look at the weakness. And you can see we are right on the edge. We're right on the edge here. And we're actually looking like we're going to break it down right here. So look at this. Previous lows. The lows of this candle was 78.58, 78.52. So let's just bring this. Let's just call it 78.50. And then you can see right here, we have the 78.37 slightly right there on that wick. But you guys can see we are coming right under this low. And if we crack this low, I would expect downside. If we crack it, maybe if you get a little retest and then rejection, maybe you look for something like that off the 78.50. But that is a major, major low here. If AMD cracks this low, we can go out to the 4 hour and see if we can spot anything. But in my opinion, it's not much here that would make me think that this holds up. Maybe you watch this little gap here around 77. Maybe you look out for that 77 whole number, right? So watch that, 77. That would be my first one to watch to the downside, right here. So 77, if we flush this low, guys, I would expect there to be weakness. I mean, this is it's just a key flush point, right? This is just a technical flush point right here, right? Previous support, all the support that came in, right? 78.50, and then look for that downside to come in under that 78.50. So very nice there on AMD, very nice flush point. Watch out for that today. The best trade there would be to see that turn into a rejection, right? All right. So Apple's also at a very key level here. If we go to the 1 hour charts, I believe we'll see it here on the 1 hour. Yes. 1 hour chart. So let me delete some of this. Let me clean this up. Here's what I'm watching on Apple. If this damn thing will delete. All right. So I am looking at a previous support, right? All in this general area. Let me delete this too. All right. So I am looking at a previous rejection point that turned into support around this 155.50. All in this general area, right? We had this 155.50 general support, that resistance that came in here, support that came in here. And if we zoom in here to today's or this week's price action, we can see support came in here in this general area. Support came in here again. We had a little bit of a battle here and ultimately broke below. Now, if I go to the 15-minute chart, you can see this level, and you can see what it's doing this morning, right? We broke below this level. We tried to push back into it, and we're starting to reject. We're starting to turn into a rejection point at the 155.50. So if Apple turns 155.50 into a rejection, what does that mean, guys? Right? You're turning previous support into resistance. Chef, yes and no, Chef. I will say I've seen many times where sometimes these Apple events actually sell the stock off. So be careful, guys. Be careful. This is like one of those. If you haven't seen it before, this is one of those days where people get excited about it's Apple because they have a product launch, blah, 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 blah. Just be careful with that whole thing. That's not a reason for the stock to move higher. I would be careful saying, oh, I'm long Apple because they have product launch today. I would be careful with that type of mindset. So 153 is the 100 SMA, so watch out for that. You have the 50 above at 157, but I would just focus on the break and retest. All right, that's what I'd focus on, the break and retest. So previous lows into rejection, 155.50. Watch for that to reject. If that rejects, maybe you look for downside into this 100 SMA, 153. Okay, I would be careful trading off of Apple events. I know personally that every single time we've had an Apple event, I've been on the live the last 3 years. I don't know how. I think I've had the community for 3 years now almost. The last 3 years, every single Apple event that I've been on the voice chat with the group on, when we say, "Oh, look at this, Apple's doing this, blah blah blah. This is their new thing." I see the market. I see Apple selling off. I remember this vividly. So I remember vividly every single time I've been watching an Apple event live and watching the stock at the same time. There has been, I don't know if it's every time, but there has been multiple times where the stock drops. So be careful with the whole, Apple event that's going to go up type of thing. All right, Amazon, hourly chart. I was actually meaning to bring this up. I just forgot. Yeah, Chef, just be careful on that. I would probably, honestly, if I was, to be honest, whenever I have, here's my mindset. I know people have different mindsets. When I know a stock has an event coming up, I stay away from it, right? I don't want to be involved in the unknown of what happens during an event. A lot of people like to trade news. They like to get that thrill from it. They get that rush. Personally, for me, if a stock has an event, I stay away. I let the other people go after it. I let them try to chase it. I stay away. All right. So on a day like today, Apple is probably not a stock that I will be trading. So I think that's probably the best move for longevity, guys. All right. 30-minute chart, Amazon, some interesting retest levels here as well, guys. So here is the 30-minute on Amazon. 127 is your level to watch today, guys. 127 is your level to watch. You can see this is a previous support right here. This is a previous support. This is a previous rejection. This is a previous rejection. This is a previous support. This is a previous rejection yesterday. If you get a push into 127, I would be looking for this. If I get a push into 127, I would be looking for this. All right, so 127 is my sell point. If I see a push into 127, I would look for downside. If you get that 127 rejection, you could get a nice play back into that 125, which is where that support comes in. So 127 is the level I'd have on your screen for Amazon today. 125 is this previous high from the gap fill. And if we break 125 today, if we get downside through 125, you might just see Amazon fully fill the gap that we've talked about for a very long time. So if you get through 125, you have your gap fill. What's the high of this candle? 122.84. 122.84 is your total gap fill on Amazon right there. So you might just see it today, right? If you get some downside in the market, if you reject 127 again, you might just see the gap fill completely fill here on Amazon. Finally, this happened. I know we've talked about it for a long time. Very nice downside on Amazon. Gap fill, 122.81. Watch out for that. Needs to stay below 127. Okay. Costco. So I've been watching this 515 level on Costco. Let me go ahead and zoom out here. Sort of eyeing to see if there's any, what's the movement on the retail sector. When the market is sort of weak, sometimes you see a flight for safety. So I am keeping eyes on that trade. Do we see a flight for safety? We haven't quite seen it yet. I think we've seen a little bit of XLP upside, and not really. We saw it on that one day. Walmart held up decent. Target had a pretty decent day yesterday, but actually is sort of selling off in the pre-market. So we're not really seeing that fight for safety yet on like the XLP and stuff like that. So yeah, 515, you guys can see this is the level I'm watching on Costco. It's been a previous demand multiple times. Boom, right here, right here, and we're sort of bouncing at it again yesterday. If I go down to the shorter term time frames, you can see what happened in this 515. We traded down into it. We got a quick bounce off of it, and we just sort of traded above it. So nothing really going on for Costco. Besides on Friday, it got crushed off that 535. So if I'm looking at this, here's what I'm watching on Costco. Do we find support in this 515 level? Whoa. That candle just flipped. What was that? I think maybe a glitch candle. Or maybe we just traded down significantly. I think it was just a bid-ask spread there. Never mind. All right, so, yeah, that candle just flipped on me. So here on the hourly, I'm watching to see, does Costco find demand in this 515? Right, you guys can see right here. I'm looking to see, can we see any type of upside off this level? If we do, can we move this back to 535? If we get to 535, can I sell it back into 515? So I'll be watching this little channel here on Costco. I like to trade Costco. Costco is definitely one of the stocks I watch out for on a daily basis. It's got pretty good liquidity. I like the way the contracts move. They're a little aggressive, which I like. So I'm watching this 515 here on area on Costco, seeing what happens here. Do we get a bounce? And then if we get a bounce, guys, this is the ultimate sell point. I mean, this is just beautiful. All this previous support, double top rejection. If we get one more bounce into here, I would love to try to sell into this, right, at 535. So definitely watching that. All right, that's Costco. Snow. So Snow almost fully on the gap fill. Nvidia below 132.70. I'll go back to, I'll answer your question. Yeah, I mean 132.70 is the low, so maybe. You can see 132.70 is the ultimate low. So I would want to see this break first on Nvidia, right? You got to see this. You got to see this 134.50 low, right? You got to break this first. Turn this into a rejection point, then you get 132.70. But you got to have this low here break. Yesterday's low. It's still holding up. All right, Snow. So Snow is almost at the gap fill. Here's your last support level to watch out for, guys, on Snow if you are in this play. I know some of you guys did trade this, and congratulations. Here's your last support level, right? This is your last line of defense right here at 167.30. You have a previous support or previous rejection right here, right? Previous rejection right there. And you can see, where did we find support? Boom, 167.30, exact same level. So you're trading back into it. This is your last line of defense. There could be a bounce off this level. That's absolutely possible. If you break 167.30, then I would expect the gap fill to be complete, right? If you break this 167.30, I would expect this gap fill to complete itself back towards 160.180. You can see, nice gap up, nice gap fill, very nice stuff. I would expect Snow to come back down to the 162s to try to bounce eventually off that. If the only way to get that, right, the only way to get that gap fill is to break this next level here, 167.30, right in there, okay? So that's your last line of defense on Snow. Breaking that level likely brings you down into the gap fill around that 162. All right, Roku. So Roku's been real clean lately. I mean, and it's just a crap stock. We all know that. So the downside is, more than likely to happen. So the odds are in your favor when you're looking for downside. I like when the odds are in my favor. If I can find a stock that just I think going to continue to the downside, I like to trade something like that because the odds are almost always in your favor. It may try to mess with you a few times, but that's where your good entry comes in, right? You got to make sure you get a good entry. So selling this rejection point has always been good on Roku. This day probably stopped some people out. This was a ridiculous move. You can see this was your previous support. You can see we broke below it, right? We broke below that 66.50. What did we do yesterday? If I go to let's go to the 15-minute chart. Look at what Roku did yesterday at the previous support. You can see we had previous support here, 66.50, previous support 66.50. We broke below it. We had a little bit of, chop here between Thursday, Friday, but yesterday we pushed into it, and look at that rejection at 66.50. Very clean. We can see that we have created a new channel, right? Here's your new channel between 64.25 and the 62, right? So what I'm looking for today is, does this previous low where we rejected yesterday, does this turn into my new channel high? If it does, I would love to sell at this 64 level. If I can sell at this 64 level and create that new channel low, that new stair step to the downside, then I'll be looking to sell Roku, at that 64 level right here, 64.25, this area. I'll be looking to see if that is a rejection point. Now, the reason I bring Roku up more than anything is if we look at this daily chart, guys. Let me clean this up just a tad for us. If we look at this daily chart, look at where Roku is trading. Roku is trading at some pretty extreme lows. This 62 level is the 2022 lows. If I go to the weekly chart, you guys can see, this is almost down to, is this almost all-time lows? No, it's not. Okay. It's not yet. It's not quite at all-time lows, but this 62 level is pretty major here. You can see we had some previous support back in 2020 at 62. The lows of the virus, 58.22. 58.22 is the low of the virus. So if we break this down, 58.22 is the virus lows. Right there. And then 62 is the low of this year. So if we get a trade under 62, maybe we turn that into a rejection. You could see those virus lows, guys. So watch out for this. This could be interesting. So watch out for the rejection at 64.25 today on Roku. NASDAQ just flipped green. We getting some upside? Yeah, we're getting some upside off that channel low. Hold on, guys. Okay. Yeah, we're getting some upside off that channel. What happened here? There we go. We're getting some upside off that channel low here. You can see off that, maybe that trade deficit news. You can see that 11,970 area has held up pretty nicely this morning. So I would still look to see, can we trade into that 12,060? Or can we trade into that 3920, right? All right, so what were we on? We're on Roku. Let's go PANW. So PANW. Zoom in on the daily chart. You guys can see we pretty much filled the gap to some extent, right? This is a gap fill that we've been talking about as well. We sort of did. I mean, it was pretty nice after we rejected that 552. That was just clear as day. You can see we broke down. 530 was the level that I said I think you could find some support at. 5-minute chart, you guys can see we're sitting right there at 530. So if we turn, actually, this is what I'd look for. If this area at 531, 530, if we cannot break above this level here, guys, this is what I'd look for right here. This could be actually very nice into the gap fill. Gap fill is at 515. So if we get a rejection at 530 here and we create this bear flag, I like this. I like this right here. So that's what I'll watch for. If you do break 530, I'd look for this low to reject right here, 535. So I'm still looking to see if this PANW fully fills this gap on the daily chart. You guys can see right here, we have the gap fill at this 515 level. 530 is a big level here, 530, 531. If we go to the 30-minute chart, I would look for that 530 to turn into a rejection point right here. Maybe a little bit of a bear flag to the downside and fill that gap towards 515. If you do break 530, look for these previous lows around that 535. All right. All right, guys, that's what I had. Let's quickly go over the NASDAQ ES again real quick, just to give a refresher to anyone that's here. Maybe you joined a little late. So refresher on the NASDAQ. Big levels today, guys. The levels that you have to have on your screen. These are levels that you have to have on your charts. 12,060 has to be there. And then 12,140 has to be there. Those are two levels that you have to have on your screen. 1260 and 12,140. Have to have those on your levels. Downside around that 11,970. On the ES, you got to have this 3920 level on your screen. And if you want to also include where we rejected yesterday, around that 3940. Right? 3940, 3920, major levels that have to be on your screen today for potential rejections, or you use them as support levels that could move this market higher. All right, if you break these levels and you turn them into support, then you get the upside on the market. 3920, 3940, must-watch levels today for upside, for the upside levels on your chart. 3920, 3940, 3960. Very nice, systematic. 20 points in each direction. You can see have had very nice reactions off these levels. All right, let's do a quick, press the like button type of move right now. Everyone press the like button. Everyone do it. 3, 2, 1, boom, like button. So let me go to let me go here. DocuSign RH and ZS. Docu RH ZS. That's what we're doing. Docu. You got to have it in there before I look at it. Docu's just dying, man. It's just a dying stock, it looks like. I still hold Nvidia in my long-term Enzo. I buy it every week. But the reason I buy stocks, guys, may be different than yours, right? It's not the same for everyone, right? I'm 27 years old. This money that I'm investing is for when I'm 60, when I'm 65, when I'm retiring, hopefully. Maybe it's before that, but still I need money when I'm older, right? I'll need to set myself up for when I'm older. I am in full belief that Nvidia will be a stock that is around and the stock price will be higher when I am 60, 50 years old, right? That's why I buy Nvidia. That's why, because I look at this, I'm 27 years old. I have some money to spend, right? I have some money to invest. Am I ever going to get Nvidia 60%, 50% off their highs? This is the time I have to react, guys. This is the time that I have to react. If I don't react now, then when am I going to react? Am I going to react when it's back at all-time highs? This is where I have to take my shot, right? This is where you have to take your shots if you want to try to invest in stocks and you want to try to turn money, when you're 50, 60 years old, if you want to try to invest in companies that you like and you want to have, a good investment when you're older, these are the shots you have to take. It's now or never. I mean, it's really it. I mean, maybe it continues lower, but it's already down 50% off the high. So for someone our age, if you're in your 20s, guys, it's what else are you waiting for? You have to be buying stocks. I mean, if you want, everyone that, when you talk to your grandparents, when you talk to anyone that's investing for a long time, you say, holy crap, you have Apple at $10. Holy crap, you have Tesla at $5. What the hell? How did you buy Nvidia at 10? Or anyone that bought, stocks in March of 2020 when COVID hit, right? You say, oh, what a buy that was. No. You gotta take advantage of those moves, right? It's either that or you just lose your money, right? You lose what you invest, right? You lose what you invest, right? Yeah, I mean, when you're 52, it's different. I totally agree, Daniel. I totally agree, right? That's why I say this is different. Investing is all about time. Investing is all about your time. It's all time. There's nothing else but time. That's the most valuable asset you have is time. So, you buy Nvidia at 120, at 100, wherever it's at. If it goes to zero, well, I just lost, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, and that's it. I lose it over, a 10-year period. So it's $1,000 a year that I lose. Who cares? All right, I'll survive. I'll survive. But if I'm buying Nvidia at 100 and 20 years from now, it's at 600, right? So, these are the times where everyone doesn't want to buy stocks, but this is where, most of the time in 20 years from now, a lot of us are going to say, oh shit, man. Remember when US had crazy inflation, no one was buying stocks, and Nvidia was 60% off the highs, and, I just can't believe it was so discounted at that time. That's crazy. I can't believe Nvidia was down 60%. Look at it now, right? If you guys stick around, if I do this live stream for 20 years, which I doubt I will, I hope we have this conversation in 20 years. I will love that. Someone clip this. I'll have it. It'll be on YouTube if YouTube's even around anymore. That'll be a fun day. All right, guys, I got to jump off. Sorry, that was a little side tangent, but I think it was probably a good way to end the stream. If you're young, if you have time, guys, if you're in your 20s, please start buying stocks. It's not investment advice, but I think you can look around in the market and see that is typically, buying stocks with money you can afford to put in. This doesn't mean you put all of your money in stocks. If you make, let's say you make $1,000 a week post-tax, after tax, you're making $1,000 a week. Maybe you're making $3,000 a month, $4,000 a month. Maybe you're making more, $100 a month, $200 a month. Maybe you can afford $500 a month. Something that you spend on stupid shit. Right? Put it into Nvidia. Buy Apple. Buy Tesla. Right? Think of it as a good thing. Right? This is your time. This is your time. If you're in your 20s, guys, this is what you want to be happening. If you're in your 20s, you are happy about what's going on right now. You are excited. Right? If you're in your 60s, I feel for you. This is different. If you are about to retire in 2-3 years and you just saw your investments take a 30% haircut, that's tough. I totally get that. That is tough. And I feel for you because I would not want to be in that situation. So I understand if that's your situation. But if you're in your 20s and you got some side income, if you have some income you can invest in, this is your opportunity. Don't buy GameStop. Don't buy AMC. Don't buy Peloton. Don't buy Roku. Don't buy Ape. Don't buy Bumble. Don't buy Fastly. Don't buy Bed Bath & Beyond. Don't buy Penn National. Don't buy Beyond Meat. Don't buy Zoom. Don't buy Stitch Fix. Don't buy Tilray. Don't buy Pinterest, Twitter. Don't buy Skills. Don't buy Snapchat. Don't buy SPCE. Buy Apple. Buy Nvidia. Buy Tesla. Buy Microsoft. Buy Google. Right? Buy good stocks. All right, guys. Have a great day. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace out.